Okay? So anytime you see a restaurant, how did McDonald's get the $8 for a Happy Meal? I'm sorry, it was $6 the other day. I got the kids the 6 McNuggets, the grandchildren, and this fruit thing, and I said, geez, I'm $6. When was it not $1 something? You know, when was the soda? 95 cents, 50, 75. You know, it's $1.95 for a medium soda. You know, they figured it out. If you don't raise your vends, you won't be able to compete. You won't be able to have enough cash flow to keep your store fresh, pay your bills, keep everything working, and thrive. So increasing your revenue per square foot is very important. We're going to talk to you about that in a moment. Okay. I went home to my hometown for a family affair, and this was the news. I took it with my BlackBerry, sorry, but sewer rates jump, okay? Cleveland, Ohio. And it said, it's probably easier to read here. Expensive study, inadequate funding force Eastlake to raise utility costs. Doesn't that sound familiar? You know, if we ran our businesses that way, we'd be out of business. But you know what? They got the golden parachute. They go and they get stimulus money to build a new treatment plant or expand it. It creates 7 to 8 jobs, which are all appointees by the people who get the stimulus money. And so their kingdom grows, more people are employed, but they need matching funds. Did they call you and ask if you want to contribute? Did they call you to ask, do you want a plant that's going to handle 20 years from now when plants are closing and moving away? No, because they know that they can just hit you and assess you and you're going to pay it. So you've got to be sure that the equipment you've got is the most energy efficient that's going to be able to counter that so you can continue to thrive. So here's step one. This is the small bites, okay? Easiest one to attack is top loaders. Top loaders we talked about going to front loaders. Yesterday's tops used 32 to 37 gallons per vent. Department of Energy continues to target them as we talked about. The Horizon replacement is a double loader, and it uses 60 to 66% less water per vent. I talked to you about this in the spring, most of you were here, but I thought it'd be easier to understand if we talked per vent. Before I presented a little bit different. Horizons provide a superior wash and bend potential. Definitely a better wash and rinse and bend. No matter how much water they think should be in that machine, here's the silver bullet. Say, look, if that comes out of there and it's dirty, I'll pay for a free wash. Get to wash it again. Do you think you'll ever have to pay for a free wash? No. There you go. And once you do that, they're hooked. And say, by the way, you only put half in there. You could put more in there. And by the way, it only takes a quarter of the soap that the top loader takes. Because soap is treating water. Quarter of the water, quarter of the soap. Very simple. So, Horizons generate more revenue per square foot. On an average, you get about 50 to 75 cents more VIN than the top load because it's a double loader. You got a $1.50 single load, and you can put in a double loader at $3. That still hunts. If you do it for $2.75, it's a bargain. That's easy to explain. So it's simple. Here's how the numbers work out. Single load tops, 32 gallons. I'm not even going to count the older ones at 37. I want to be conservative. Pre-2007, you bought it before 2007, you're 32 gallons. Let's say the average vend is $2. You're getting 6 cents vend for every gallon you give them. Okay? Now, Horizon double load uses 12.8 gallons. At $2.75, you get 21 cents for every gallon you give them. So you have two options. Option one, raise your vents on your tops to equal it. Okay, let's see how that works. You'd have to raise them 343%, or the vent would be $6.75 to make the same amount of money as a Horizon at $2.75. Can you do that? you start to see what's happening with tops here, you can't make them work. And if you drop your vend thinking that that's the solution to growing your business, that's a slippery slope. But you know what? If you put in these and you put them at the same vend, or even dropped your vend, you still make money. You could go below your tops vend and still make money and be super competitive with anybody. And then you can start the gradual climb back up. You can do whatever, it gives you flexibility. But this is the hard fact. This is why new stores, we just put in a few tops, more or less to satisfy the owners that I'm just afraid that, there's others in the neighborhood, I don't want to lose that business. It's usually the reason they like them, it's the lowest priced machine in the store. There are people that truly like tops, but a lot of them are dying off. Those were the Oldsmobile drivers. Remember that? Okay. For those of you who are not into cars, Oldsmobile's gone because pretty much all their customers are gone. So that, they didn't keep up with it today. $675, you can't make money doing that, right? Let's look at it another way. What about the older washer extractors, the rest of them? If you have washers that are more than 8-10 years old, if they're not Netmaster, which looks like this with the 2, 4, 6 buttons in a row, cold, warm, hot, and normal, permapress, delicate, those are pretty efficient machines. Because 15 years ago we figured this out, and they have multi-level vent. But if it's the old 4 push button, cold, warm, hot, delicate, okay, those use a lot of water. Because back then, we only had one machine for coin laundries and one machine for hotels. It was the same. So what we did was we had a long pre-wash, high level. We had a wash, low level, and a spin between each. We had a rinse, high level, spin, another rinse, high level, spin, and a final rinse, low level, spin. Okay? So how many fills was that? 5 fills. And half of them, more than half, of those 5, 3 were high level. Okay? So think about that. Today, 1 wash, 2 rinses. Okay? 1 wash, 2 rinses. And no spin in between. Every time it spun in between, it took 10% of the water out, more than just draining, that you had to replace. Times 4 fills, that's a lot of water. Okay? Why did it spin? In the old days, motors would get hot when they slow turn during wash, that's slow. When they spun, they have little fans in them that would cool them off. So they would cool back down and not burn up and shorten their life. Well, today, with the winding technology and cooling, everything else and sizing proper, they don't have that problem anymore. So that spin is no longer needed. But yet, all those machines out there are doing it. Can you change it? No. Those were fixed timers, basically. You can change a wire or two, make minor changes, but you can't change what they use. So let's look at that storm water, because we're talking about water. An old 18-pounder versus today's 20. The old one used 42 gallons of water. Today, 15.9 on the front load, bolt down, heavy duty. That's 63% difference. And I'm going to do an store example. Let's say 8 of those. The 25 became a 30. So that little 25 small door now uses the big door. This is right here, 30. So it actually grew in capacity, and yet it went from 56 gallons to 20.5. Bigger capacity, bigger glass door. What do big glass doors help you with? The vent. The vent, right? That's how they qualify vent. So 63% savings. Let's say we had 6 of those. The 35 goes to 40, again, made it a little wider, a little bit deeper, bigger drum, and again, we put on the big door on the 40. The 35 used to have the small door, smaller than this one. So we grew that again. 93 gallons to 26. 72% savings, times 4 of those. The 50, it was 8.1 cubic feet. Old Wasco mats were 7.6. Some of the other brands were only 7.3. The new one is 9 cubic feet. 30% larger. And from 103 gallons to 44 gallons. 57% savings. Because savings is a little smaller, because remember how much we grew the capacity? So that 60 is actually better looking and bigger door than the old 75s. Then the 75 to 80 used 144 gallons, today 53. 62% savings, one of those. Now, what does that mean per year? If you add up this store of 86421, that's not a big store. Okay? You'd be surprised. Yesterday's washers used about 1.8 million gallons a year at 3.5 turns. Okay? 3.5 turns, 3.5 average per day. Quantum washers, 635,000. That's a savings of almost 1.2 million gallons a year. And hot water, the same type of savings. That's why the new ones don't need as large a water heaters. Yes?
Now, you're talking about the newer Quantum versus probably the 8-year-old Speedquake, or you're talking about both of them combined?
I'm talking about the old push-button machines, whether it was ours or anybody else's. We all use the same controls in the industry.
Okay, so it's
Right.
not that one there?
No, this one here was pretty efficient, but not as efficient as Quantum. But it's in the ballpark, it's probably off about 5-8%. So these are very efficient, but the Quantum got even more efficient. Okay? So this one here was our previous design. It was, the first one was push buttons, next was Netmaster and this. Those were more efficient, but now the Quantum goes even a quantum leap from that. These numbers are Quantum against the EMAC, electromechanical machines, with the old timer with the motor that spun and the micro switches. That's the one we're talking about. 65% water and sewer. So when you see somebody retool and put in all new equipment or build a new store and you say, how are they ever going to survive? All that overhead, I'm paid off, that, you know how they're going to survive? Just like that McDonald's does. Because they've got the best and most efficient everything. Instead of 2 single air conditioning units, they got one, or single phase, they got 1 3-phase. In other words, it's your chance to fix everything and make it work and be efficient. And you know what, when you do that, nobody else can come in behind you and beat you. You are the absolute most efficient, because Quantum is the most efficient system out there today. So let's go a little further. How do we achieve that? We've got 30 water levels. 30 water levels. The old ones had 2. One of our competitors today, if you buy their machine brand new, only has 1 water level. And if they only, and it's non-adjustable. And guess what? It uses 31% more water. So if you buy that machine today, 10, 15, for the next 10, 15 years, you will be at a 31% disadvantage already. And do you think they're going to tell you? No. Right? We stopped doing 1 water level. Horizon we have to, because of the, we said the, to get the Energy Star rating. So when that's for small, like home machines and machines that are of that category. But when you get into commercial, that doesn't count. The 1 water level restricts you forever. We have 30. You never know what's going to happen in the next 15 years. Having the ability to go up, down, and incremental gives you a tremendous advantage. Let's say your neighborhood, no matter what you do, they say, I want to see more water. Well, you know what? With the 1 level, nothing's going to change. If you have 2 level, like the old push-button machines, you could go from here to here. So in a 20-pounder, you can go from 5.29 to 9.02. That's a huge jump. But wouldn't it be nice if you only had to go from 5.29 to 6.19? Incremental. And they say, you know what, that's better. I'm fine. Good.